Americans hit by the worst inflation in decades could face a summer surge in prices for bread and baked goods. The overall cost of groceries already up 10% in March from a year earlier. And now folks in the bread industry are warning that prices could rise another 35% in the months ahead, pun not intended, due in part to the war in Ukraine. Scott MacFarlane is outside a grocery store in Bethesda, Maryland. Scott, good morning.
Hey, Tony, good morning to you. I talked to a number of leaders in the industry behind breads and baked goods, and they raised a red flag. They said likely by the middle of summer, bread could be added to the list of things many Americans have more difficulty affording.
In Baltimore, the H&S Bakery, which makes, then ships breads to grocery stores and restaurants throughout the East Coast, says it's scrambling as ingredients are increasingly in short supply.
When people go to the grocery store, they see it costs more now than it did last year, 2 years ago. And have we hit the ceiling, or are we going higher?
We're going higher. You're going to see another increase in July. That's going to impact another 35% increase on flour, and that's strictly related to the Ukraine-Russian war.
The war has disrupted production of wheat, barley, and cooking oils in a nation considered the breadbasket of the world. Ukraine and Russia produce a quarter of the global wheat supply, but war has halted much of the production. There are still some reserves, but they're dwindling quickly. Add to that supply chain disruptions, a shortage of workers, partly fueled by the pandemic, and the increased cost of gas, driving up delivery costs. The baking industry calls it a perfect storm.
So unfortunately, those costs have to get borne by consumers. And like I said, the most vulnerable in our society are going to feel that earlier than anybody else.
The apricot jam?
For mom and pop shops like Stella Corris's bakery in Rockville, Maryland, it's not just flour in short supply.
What has gone up in price that you've noticed?
Almost everything went up. Right now, the things that went even 30% up.
Ingredients up by 30%.
The milk, the cream, chocolate went up too.
Her bakery has survived 30 years, but she expects to raise prices in August. An anguishing decision, she says, with only a slight profit margin, with 35 employees and customers potentially unwilling to pay.
In the past, my increases were many years apart. Now, I have done it twice since COVID, and probably will have to do it again, unfortunately.
The industry has been leaning on Washington to free up more federal land for domestic wheat production and also to tap into new oil and gas supplies. At this point, the U.S. makes about 6 to 7% of the world's wheat supply. But in the meantime, the industry is scrambling for replacement ingredients or for wheats and flours made outside of Ukraine. Tony?
I hear you, Scott.